Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to HIMediaTV. I'm your host, Evan from HIMediaTV, and Fallout 4 is a mid-game that you absolutely should play. Fallout 76 is a game that absolutely has had a time, to say the least. Plenty of updates and issues, so to speak, that ultimately culminate into a lighter weight No Man's Sky story, although many fans of No Man's Sky, including myself, would probably balk at that notion. Now that a new expansion is coming out for free on December the 2nd, titled Burning Springs, where we will be going to the barren hellscape, otherwise known as Ohio, I thought now might be a good time to flex my editing skills, or lack thereof, and actually make a real video essay for once on this YouTube channel. Come on, Fallout 76. Don't fail me now. Again. All jokes aside, if you look in the background of this video, this is actually the 20 to 30 minutes in which I will play Fallout 76, and kind of go through the motions of what I enjoy doing in the game, which I would guess for most people who aren't playing this as their main game primarily, kind of do the same. You log in, you grab your free doohickey from the Atom Shop, you look at your map, look at the dailies that you got to get done, figure out what you can do without leaving your camp yet, then go do the ones that you have to leave your camp for. And then after all that's said and done, if you're still got some juice left in you, don't go do a couple public events. Fallout 76 has done a really great job of diversifying the content since the ye olden days of 2017. Was it 2017? No, it was 2018 when it came out. God, I'm old. Did y'all know I'm almost 30? My birthday is next week at time of recording. I'm going to be 28. I hate myself. Ultimately, I want to talk about three things separately with this game. I want to talk about the gameplay, the world, and the vibe. All three are pretty important to talk about here for a myriad of different reasons. The fact of the matter is, well, also a fact that haters of the game can't help but remind us fans of it, is that Fallout 76 didn't have any NPCs at launch. Well, that's not completely correct. There were NPCs that you could interact with nominally. Some that you could even have dialogue options with. Nothing super verbose or fantastic, but dialogue nonetheless. Granted, all of those individuals were generally robots, so outside of one particular, it's really kind of blech. That being said, one of the things that is a positive of this outcome, aside from a kind of dead feeling world, it does really evoke the same feelings that Fallout 3 had of being a lone wanderer in the wasteland, all on your own on a journey. It is a vibe and a feeling that I haven't really felt from a Fallout game similarly since I played Fallout 3. Fallout 4 is, Fallout New Vegas is practically in civilization almost. There's tiny little pockets of quest clusters with tons of people with histories, and it feels alive. And even with Fallout 4, even the world you may walk into may feel dead and barren, but you end up building it up and it becomes an interconnected settlement space because of the settlement building effect of everything. So this leaves me kind of with Fallout 76, even with it having these crafting and building elements of 4, and even with the NPCs having come into Appalachia at this point. One of the great things that this fault of Fallout 76 did was the environmental storytelling on offer here is probably the best in the series. For those that aren't aware of what I'm talking about, next time you go and play a Fallout game and you walk into a place, read all the notes you can find before you start blowing stuff up with explosives. Take a look at the decor and the way items are placed and things of that nature. To Bethesda's credit, and not just their Fallout games, but also their, fantasy games like Oblivion, Skyrim, etc., especially Skyrim, they do a really, really cool job of telling a story of what happened at a location. YouTubers like Oxhorn have been able to have entire YouTube channels built off of just going to these different locations and telling the stories of what happened here based off the environmental storytelling. And Fallout 76 is wonderful for this. One of my favorite places in this regard is Lucky Hole Mine. Aside from being, probably the best damn place to get lead ore in the game and, a ballistic weapons user's dream as far as resources is concerned, it really does have this really dark and eldritch storytelling in it that is, it's very emblematic for the, 6% of Fallout that has just that tiny flavor of like esotericism, woo-woo mysticism, like the arcane and the fantastic. See Mothership Zeta in Fallout 3, or, certain aspects of Big Empty in Fallout New Vegas. The world of Appalachia here in Fallout 76 is alive, not in the sense of, there being people every single place that you can engage with in every single capacity. The NPCs and stuff that they added in Wastelanders is about on par with your typical Bethesda storytelling. And that's about it. It's not, the most riveting conversations, but, personally, whenever you go into a location, especially one you haven't seen before, you just read these people's stories, listen to their holotapes, look at how they died, and you just feel a level of overwhelming, loss for people that not only not real, but like that are not only like people you haven't met, your character hasn't met, and are not even real in the first place, but it still evokes a feeling. And that's something, honestly, that Fallout 76 is able to do significantly better than prior games. It is a remarkably quiet game. If you are the type of person who doesn't care about dialogue, who doesn't care about story, you can play a lot of 76 without having to care about any of that. Even with NPCs being a large part of the game now, it's still quiet. And that's honestly kind of nice.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Okay, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. The combat is perfectly good and fine. If you liked the gunplay and the combat in 4, you're going to like it here. Probably give or take some of the MMO-y arcadey elements, which you can turn most of them off in the sense of, corpses with loot on them, you can lighting up, that can be turned off. I manually turned on damage numbers on attack being turned on just so I knew if I hit the motherfucker. But I digress. If you liked the combat in 4, you're going to like the combat here most likely. That's the big thing. Shooting guns feels good. Swinging weapons feels not great. And walking around in power armor like a giant tank is fine. It's fine. a big part of the gameplay here is going to be the base building and crafting. Crafting takes a significantly larger role here compared to 4, believe it or not. At least in 4, you could, in theory, find better weapons randomly generated, dropped from different enemies in the game, and never have to engage with crafting whatsoever if you didn't want to. It was a completely viable way to play the game. You could get pretty damn good legendaries, like the Spray and Pray early on, or even, the Deliverer, without even needing to upgrade things necessarily, and just vibe that way. Treat it like an old school Fallout game. And then Fallout 76, not so much. Yeah, you might be able to get a good legendary drop from certain events, but unless you want to just be cannon fodder for, 5 to 15 minutes, you're going to need something to take a hit and give a hit, and unfortunately crafting is fairly mandatory in these spaces. On top of that, a lot of the things that you're going to be doing day in and day out, at least before you find the different hub locations in the world, like Foundation, White Spring, the Raider Camp, etc., Fort Atlas, places that once you have access to, you have access to all the crafting stations, free fast travel to and from. Yeah, by the way, fast travel isn't free. You have to pay caps for that. It sucks, I know, but they have to have a money sink somehow. Oh my god, people make so much money selling crap in their camps. It really all does kind of come down to, the things that made Fallout 4 fun for me was the base building, was the crafting, was the meticulous designing of my base to be a specific way, and fine-tuning my weapons to the highest degree in a way that both felt good to shoot with the sights and also had the best stats. Like this, let's be frank, deeply autistic way of playing Fallout is great for me personally. My ex-girlfriend, who very much treated Fallout 4 like The Sims Wasteland Edition, didn't really like engaging in combat at all. She just wanted to stay at her base and make her fun little town and stuff. And unfortunately, she had to go out and kill shit and loot shit to be able to build shit, which is part of the gameplay loop. I still maintain that the gameplay loop in Fallout 4 is quite good. Unfortunately, here, you do kind of have a loop similar where you need a lot of resources, at least early on, to be able to build certain things. And then you have to explore to unlock the recipes available to you at camp. You don't have all of these things available to you for off jump, so you have to go out and buy plans, find plans, do events to get plans, learn said plans in your inventory, then you can build stuff. And then you have to and then you get into the legendaries drops and the mods that come with those, and it's just a whole thing. This game isn't a Fallout game. It's Diablo with guns. And they do it better than Borderlands. That's a whole nother conversation. Regardless, the gameplay in this is fun. It is a PvE romp fest. It is very much not the communal, you can talk to random strangers on the internet, Second Life sim that it was before Wastelanders came out, and all of the quality of life updates kind of filtered people into their camps, their shelters, and in their little fiefdoms. And don't really engage with people outside of events anymore, which is unfortunate, to say the least. But, I remember the heady days of the old survival mode server, and that was wild. I got to play with Moist Critical one time, by the way, in a team. That was kind of interesting.
Oh, you know the vibes.
What you got next?
I don't even know. Yeah. You know the vibes of whoop-dee.
I yapped about this a little bit during the world section of this video, but I do want to reiterate it. It does feel like a very lonely game. One of the things that this game does emulate, kind of similar to Fallout 3, is people welcome you places. People invite you and say you're welcome there, and you're a part of their community, but you never feel it. You always feel like, as your character, you must keep going and keep yearning. The only place that you have for yourself is the place that you've built for yourself. The only place that you feel that sense of home in 3 is, depending on your choice in Megaton, the Megaton house or the apartment at Tenpenny Towers. It is a case of, you feel like a lone wanderer, a vault dweller in the most traditional capacity. It is a game that the vibe very much is silly. It is a much sillier, much more, over the top, much more fourth wall breaky type of game than, previous Fallouts, even though Fallout games have had that silly, wild wasteland aspect to them. But one of the things that I think is really important to articulate here is it still has that sense of loss. It still has that sense of fear and like haunting horror that, only late stage capitalism and, abusive government, apathy of the rich, and nuclear holocaust can have. It, despite the damage counters and the highlighted loot dead bodies and the events and the arcadey nature of the game, Fallout 76 still has its really poignant moments where it reminds you that there are people suffering. There is suffering in this world. And while we may be romping around Appalachia with our, electrically charged rapid-fire miniguns and, handmade explosive sniper rifles that detonate on damage for, half of a raid boss's health, there are people being terrorized, there are people struggling, there are people surviving, there are people thriving in a world filled with violence and sadness and despair and, suffering. You go walk into a cavern and you see how people just perished, sometimes because of environmental things outside of their control, sometimes because of the, fallibility of human nature. You see the responders, people of pure and genuine good, juxtaposed against the raiders who quite literally wiped out an entire town over, a lover's spat. Listen, I'm not gonna force you to play Fallout 76. My brother in Christ, it is in fact a mid-game. But I do think that it is a game worth playing and exploring. It is a game that has strengths that no other Fallout game before it has ever truly explored, or had the opportunity to build a world with as much detail in every single nook and cranny as you can find. If you're somebody that loves exploring games and loves maps with tons of little pieces of detail strewn all throughout, this is perfect for you. If you're somebody who loves collecting insane amount of loot and gear, and your house in Skyrim looks like it could be on an episode of Hoarders, you might like this as well. If you're somebody that loves min-maxing and grinding and having doing the most amount of damage in one shot, this game is also for you. It is a fun, adventurous, arcadey romp through Appalachia, a area that historically has got no representation in gaming, and I think it's so important for people in that part of the country to also get their just due in terms of this game being seen. This game also does a really great job with the taking real issues going on in Appalachia, in these towns, in these part of the country, and bringing it to the logical extremes. There's a lot of lessons to be had here. There's a lot of great storytelling here. You just gotta dig to find it. And unironically, I think it is worth going to find. Now, do I think that the game would be better if it had an offline mode that allowed me to remove the build limit, and whenever I built a structure that it would actually stay at the workshop and not disassemble everything the moment I log off? Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be fucking great. I would love a single player version of this game, but you know what? Ultimately, at the end of the day, being able to play this with other people is still fun. Yeah, I fly solo most of the time, but at the end of the day, I have met some really cool people. I still have weapons I've gotten that were either gifts or have gifted to people that I remember when I look at them, the experiences I had with them. There was this one Marine, on-duty Marine who was in a barracks somewhere in the world, and he was playing. It was late at night. He was half drunk on vodka. He gave me a really good weapon. We yik-yacked for like 30 minutes to an hour, and I never got his name. But he was a genuinely awesome dude. There was another group of dudes that I played with in survival mode that, again, one of them was unironically Moist Critical. It was his name and everything, and it sounded just like him. There was another dude that I literally spent 6 hours playing a game with this perfect stranger. I never even got his name. And we ended up taking over every workshop and sharing tons of stories with each other, and it was wonderful. This is a game that I think you will enjoy. I think the social heyday of it is kind of over, but what we traded for in meeting new people and making our own fun, we actually got good content and actually fun gameplay loop. So, silver linings, I guess. Fallout 76 is a flawed game. Fallout 76 is a fun game. Fallout 76 is a creatively dead game. Fallout 76 is has some of the best storytelling in Fallout games ever. All of these are true. All of them are contradictory, and all of them I believe with the fullest intent in my heart. And it is a game. Fallout 76 is a game of contradictions, but fun even through those issues. It is a game that I highly recommend you give a shot if you haven't already. If you're still one of the poor schmucks paying for Game Pass, it's on there. Otherwise, get it on a Steam sale. It's one of those games where you buy once and you play and you pay and you get all the content for free forever. It's definitely worth it, and I'll see y'all in Flatwoods.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to talk to me outside of this video, outside of live streams, or just join the community and be a part of it, you can do so at HIMediaTV/Discord. Discord links there. We'd love to have you. And given the financial situation of the economy right now, I know this is a tall ask, but if you have the scratch to spare, please consider donating and becoming a supporter at HIMedia.gg/tip. All of our perks are serviced through our Discord channel, including early access videos, exclusive videos, and more. Your generosity is a blessing, and $1 a month is a boon to my mental health. Thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate you, and have a great day.